Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the man behind the counter, Duncan, and today we're going to talk about a new 4K release from Shout Factory. It is The Sword and the Sorcerer, directed by Albert Payan in his debut. It stars Lee Horsey, Catherine Beller, the great Richard Lynch, who was one of the 80s classic bad guys, and Richard Mole from Night Court. He's in heavy makeup here, so he plays the main demon, so you won't recognize him. This movie is one of those sword and sorcery movies. The title says. It came off the heels of Conan the Barbarian and Excalibur, which set the benchmark for sword and sorcery fantasy movies, and those are two of my favorites. This is probably my second favorite genre outside of, action martial arts. By the way, if you like older action martial arts movies or fantasy movies like this, give me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Video Mania 2 is the place for you. Now, this movie here has some interesting ideas. It does not have the production values of Conan the Barbarian and Excalibur, and it shows at times. It does not have the budget and scope that those movies had. This movie is much smaller budget. Now, the 4K transfer looks very good, but it is not like, it doesn't set the benchmark for 4K releases, and I attribute that more to this movie was shot 40 years ago, and since it was a lower budget movie, they probably didn't have the premier cameras that were used even at that time. So, Shout Factory did the best they could with it. So, it's a very good looking film. There is some grain, but I like that. I don't like too much digital noise reduction that makes it look too glossy. Here, it's a very natural look. The only times the grain really shows is when they use stock footage to show, like, hey, this shot, this is where the city it takes place, and they'll use some stock footage from somewhere else and put it in. That looks pretty grainy, so you can see it there. The sound, there is the audio is solid. They said, Shout Factory says when you put it in, like, that they had some issues with the old audio masters, and there was only so much they could clean up, so this was the best they could do. Is it Dolby Atmos? No. But it does, it sounds fine. It's not too much of a distraction. I mean, they said you could encounter, you might hear static a couple times. I really didn't notice it though, so I guess if you're really listening for it, you could hear it, but overall, it sounds fine. It didn't take me out of the movie. The movie itself has some interesting ideas, like the main character, Talon. He has this three-pronged sword, and there's blades that fire out like arrows, which I thought was pretty cool. That was an interesting idea. So this is one of the things, because, he had a smaller budget, they just, if an idea popped in their heads, they threw it on there. So it's one of those type of deals. So you either like it or you don't. This isn't my favorite sword and sorcery movie from that time. Obviously, Conan and Excalibur are two of my favorites. The Beastmaster I like a lot as well. This movie, in my opinion, is not as good as those. It just has some things that I just wasn't as wild about. But it does have its fans, and that's fine. One thing I will say, I was never bored watching it. It was an entertaining watch. Now, the artwork here is really good. Shout Factory went all out. It came in this cool box, too, with, this box here, and it came with a poster. And here is the artwork. Here's the slipcover. Artwork is the same, but it is reversible, and I like the other side better. That's just my opinion, very subjective. This is really cool. And the discs have really cool artwork too. I was really pleased with that. Now, the thing I like too here is the special features, because they talked to Albert Payan, the writer John Stuckmeyer, and actress Catherine Beller. And they all had their own perspectives, and they gave their honest opinions of their experience working on the film. And so that was very interesting to hear. They all had their version and experiences, how the shoot went. So that was really entertaining and really eye-opening in a lot of ways. They were very honest. So I got to give Shout Factory props for letting them speak freely about what their experience was like, what they thought of the film overall. So if you're a fan of this film, I really recommend you pick this up. It does have a cult following. So this is the best it's looked, and it's got some cool artwork. So Shout Factory did a good job with this. So if you're a fan of the film, I really recommend you pick it up. So that's all I have for today. I'll have another video for you very soon, and take care.